A water absorption trench, or VAT, is a large-sized trench excavated along the contour line with a cross-section of 1 square meter. It is usually excavated in highly degraded wastelands where the slope is steep and there are sudden changes in the slope. To trap rainwater, enable it to percolate to underground aquifers and break the speed of fast-moving water, continuous contour trenches or CCTs are excavated. Besides helping in percolation, these CCTs increase soil moisture, which helps in the growth of grass, shrubs and trees. Depending upon the rainfall, the dimensions of the CCT will vary, and so will the required volume of earthwork per hectare. Since fodder is a basic requirement in rural livelihood, grasses of nutritional varieties can be planted on the mounds of VATs and CCTs, as well as grass beds between the CCTs. This not only provides fodder for animals, it also prevents soil erosion.
In Eastern Plateau and hilly region, percentage of unbunded and unterraced barren land with higher slopes is quite large. These are mostly situated in the ridgeline areas and in upper catchment. The area generally has very low soil depth or no topsoil other than stones, gravels, loose silt and less vegetation due to continuous deforestation. Such areas usually fall under forest cover in many places with varied vegetation and no vegetation. Locally, these areas are generally called dungri. Due to high slope, less or no vegetative cover and less water holding capacity, high velocity of runoff generates, and that causes soil erosion very fast. The silt mixed up with sand and gravels from this region starts depositing in medium upland and lowland, which makes agriculture uneconomical. Staggered trench is a model of in situ water conservation technology done in undulating terrain, having very high elevation. Slope of the area ranges from 8% to 25%, and the patch is unbunded and unterraced. In the field, pits are excavated across the slope of the land in staggered fashion. Sometimes staggered pits are constructed along the contour. Each of the pits is 6 feet long, 2 feet wide and 1 foot deep, with 1 foot high bund in the downstream constructed by the excavated soil. Pit to pit distance in horizontal direction is 6 feet and in vertical direction along slope is 12 to 14 feet. These pits collect the runoff of respective catchment area, approximately 72 to 84 square feet, or whatever is generated in the above catchment, and thus reduces the accumulation of rainwater downstream, which in turn reduces the velocity of the runoff. Further, the pits and bunds help in arresting the soil or silt within the catchment area and thus checks soil erosion. This harvested runoff gradually percolates down into the soil due to more porosity in upland of such high slope area of this agroclimatic zone, and thus increases the moisture regime and recharge the whole area.
ये SCT है, स्टेट कंटूर ट्रेंच है, जो इसका लंबाई है 6 फीट है, गहराई 1.5 फीट है और चौड़ाई 2 फुट है। और ये 6 फीट का ये अंतर में जो आगे वाला गड्ढा दिखाई दे रहा है, जो आप देख रहे हैं वो 6 फीट की दूरी में है। जो एक टू ये छोड़ करके जो बनाया गया वो पानी का जो भाव है, तेज़ से भाव का आता है, वो धीरे धीरे पानी को बहाव का रोकने के लिए बनाए हैं। और ये जो इस गड्ढा से पानी भर करके जो किनारे से निकल जाता है, वह फिर नीचे जो गड्ढा बनाए हम लोग का SCT, उसमें जमा हो जाता है। और इससे हम लोग का मिट्टी कटाव का भी पानी जो बहाव या धीरे हो जाता है, ऊपर से जो पहाड़ से ऊपर तक हम लोग बनाए हैं वो धीरे धीरे पानी इस प्रकार से बहाव धीरे धीरे कम हो जाता है और हम लोग का मिट्टी कटाव बंद हो गया है अभी तक। और ये पानी अंदर से जो रिस्क के जाएगा वो नीचे वाला ज़मीन में जो हम लोग का है ज़मीन जिसमें हम लोग का पानी नहीं रहता है, उसमें हम नीचे से अंदर से अगर धीरे धीरे हम लोग सोखते हुए जाएगा हम लोग का नीचे का ज़मीन को हम लोग को फ़ायदा मिलेगा।
It is comparatively a simpler technology in terms of managing operation and supervision during implementation than contour trench or bund.
When degraded lands require plantation, CCTs are refilled. The topsoil from the upstream side is excavated and filled in the CCT.
After digging the CCTs, we have to refill them. On the hill, we have a CCT which is 30 cm wide. We dig soil from the upstream side from up to 1 meter above the CCT and put this soil into the CCT. The height of the soil column that is refilled in the CCT should be around 45 to 60 centimeters from the bottom of the CCT. And in the center of this refilled portion, we plant trees.
This treatment results in a good survival rate of plants, generally in places where the soil depth is little. It allows proper aeration, prevents root coiling, and creates a moisture bank, so necessary for plant growth, especially in arid areas. On the CCTs which are suitably weathered and refilled with earth, trees, grasses and shrubs are planted. These are usually local species, which meet local needs of fuel, fodder, timber, fruits and fiber. Where the soil depth is not sufficient, pastures are developed.
Where there is enough soil depth, we have dug CCTs on the hill up to 30 cm deep. These are dug across the slope and maintaining the same level. Wherever the terrain is rocky and there is not enough soil, we make bunds using stones.
Stone bunds are laid along contour lines across the slope to arrest the flow of water and control erosion in areas where soil excavation work is not possible. Stone bunds can be erected both in arable as well as non-arable lands. Watershed development also involves taking up area treatments in cultivable lands. Here the objective is to increase the productivity of the land for crops and horticulture through different soil and water conservation measures. A farm bund is useful in areas where the land is almost flat or used for agricultural purposes. Farm bunds are erected across a slope or, where not possible, along the boundaries of fields. The top level of the bund should be even throughout, so that the required cross-section is maintained irrespective of the undulations of the plot. Grasses and trees can be grown on the bund for better stability and an additional income for the farmer. An earthen bund raised along the contour line is called a contour bund. Waterways and outlets, either natural or artificially constructed, are necessary for safe disposal of excess water from the field in a manner that minimizes erosion. Outlets are built to remove excess runoff from the farm or contour bunding. Normally, outlets are built at a height of up to 1 foot from the ground level so as to store some runoff. Two types of outlets are used: the stone outlet and the pipe outlet. A series of structures is constructed along the drainage lines. These structures allow the surplus runoff, which has already been considerably slowed down, to accumulate and get stored along the entire drainage line. This ensures rapid and substantial groundwater recharge and the creation of water banks. Gully plugs are usually made of loose rocks or stones which are locally available. Vegetation is necessary for the stabilization of the gullies. Earthen gully plugs are the earthen embankments which are built across the slope situated on the bed of a gully. A spillway is provided on any one side of the embankment to drain the excess runoff at a non-erosive velocity. When gullies are prominent, instead of small-sized gully plugs, loose boulder structures with batter, sometimes on both sides, are constructed. A gabion structure is similar to a loose boulder structure, but to increase stability, the boulders are enmeshed in wire. Gabion structures are generally constructed in places where the foundation is not available for the construction of a check dam, or there is no possibility of a spillway to construct a nala bund. Traditionally, gabion structures are silt control measures, but through some innovations such as a central concrete wall or plastering, it can be converted into a water harvesting structure. A nala bund is an earthen bund of suitable dimensions raised across a nala or gully. The purpose is to hold the runoff in order to create a pond or water body on the upstream side of the bund. A nala bund is always constructed with the facility of a spillway for draining surplus rainwater. These types of structures store rainwater for a period of time, which helps in recharging the groundwater. Nala bunds also help to stabilize nalas, gullies and streams. Check dams or check weirs are masonry structures which are constructed to impound surplus runoff. This stored water recharges the underground water. This type of structure is constructed where a nala bund or an earthen structure cannot be made. The objective of these different treatments is to make these barren lands productive for forests, pastures, and agriculture. By doing watershed work from ridge to valley, we do it the way nature intended. Running water is slowed down, flowing water is made to walk, and slow-moving water is stopped, spread around and made to go underground. This is what makes rainwater a nurturing, nourishing force of life, peace and prosperity.